consumer drones are changing all the time, improving all the time, and this requires a lot of flexibility to move and to develop what makes sense.
You're listening to the Drone Radio Show podcast, the show about drones and the people who use them for business, fun, and research. Hosted by Randy Goers.
Hello, everyone. This is Randy Goers, and welcome to the Drone Radio Show podcast, episode 81. What are the possibilities for aerial mapping systems? For that question, we turn to Lorenzo Martelletti, Director of Sales and Marketing at Pix4D. Pix4D offers a software package that converts standard pictures into professional geo-referenced images and 3D models. The company is a leader in mapping and modeling for the mining, construction, agriculture, and real estate industries. In this episode of the Drone Radio Show, Lorenzo talks about aerial mapping systems, 3D models, and how Pix4D's UAV products and services are supporting a wide array of industries throughout the world. Let's pick up the interview where I asked Lorenzo to introduce himself.
I'm Lorenzo Martelletti. I'm the Sales and Marketing Director at Pix4D. I have a background in environmental engineering, surveying, and geomatics. I've been very lucky to join Pix4D in the very early stage. At that time, Pix4D was just starting in a university lab here in Switzerland. There were like 4 people, the 2 co-founders, 2 developers, and only 3 desks. So one had to stand. So it was a real tech startup.
What does Pix4D do? What kind of a company is it?
So Pix4D is a spin-off of the Swiss Federal University EPFL here in Lausanne, Switzerland. It was founded in 2011. After 10 years of leading academic research in the fields of computer vision and photogrammetry by Christoph Streccia and Oliver Küng. Pix4D is a software company. It's specialized in photogrammetry, in particular drone photogrammetry. So this means that our software is capable of extracting geometry from 2D images in a very accurate way. So this basically allows users to create maps and 3D models from most of the consumer and professional sensors that can be mounted on a drone. Actually, in theory, our software can process any images from an iPhone to like the large frame ultra cameras, as long as there is enough overlapping among images. Today, I would say Pix4D counts around over 80 people with 3 offices: the Lausanne headquarters, San Francisco, and Shanghai. We have a network of almost 200 partners and resellers, tens of thousands active users in over 160 countries.
So in 5 years, your company went from 4 people to over 80 people and it is now a worldwide company?
Yes, correct. We've been growing nicely. We're very happy about that.
What do you think has been the reasons for the growth? What does your product do that is so special that other products aren't filling the market? So
to me, it was really like a good technology entrepreneurship case. So when Christoph and Olivier started the company, it was a unique situation. So from one day to another, you had like flying consumer cameras started flying, let's say, right? The first drones were out, SenseFly, Gatewing drones here in Europe. And from one day to another, you had like cameras that were taking pictures. The traditional photogrammetry industry was not able to process consumer-grade cameras, low-quality photos with like bad GPS, no orientation data. And thanks to our algorithms that can basically, it's called structure from motion, so they can attract key point and match images, we were able to create very accurate maps. So we were very, very few companies in the space, maybe 2 or 3 competitors there. And, the drone sales have gone pretty well in the last years. And professionals immediately understood that there was an opportunity to a new and very efficient way of working when making maps and models. So we started with professional surveyors and mining surveyors, photogrammetrists, and we grew from there.
Was your primary entering the market in the survey mapping part, or did you jump at making the models as well?
No, we started definitely in the surveying and mapping. So the very first clients were mining company and let's say mining surveyors and photogrammetries. So they were mainly interested in like orthomosaics, digital surface models, and point clouds. So the modeling and the 3D meshes came, I would say, quite afterwards.
Who are some of the industries? You mentioned mining. Who else uses the software?
So today, let's say that our software is used in general for surveying and mapping applications. We see a very good usage in construction when it comes especially to earthworks. So when you have to move terrain, excavate, monitoring construction sites over time. The forensic sector is also very interesting. So drones today are used a lot for accident reconstruction. And our software, of course, is perfectly capable of creating a very accurate 3D model. Also precision agriculture. So there are a lot of drones that are flying already and capturing images. These are, let's say, specialized sensor, and then the users can create radiometric maps and then vegetation indexes to assess the health of vegetation. And to some extent also starting the virtual inspection, right? So you have towers or cell phone towers, electrical towers, bridges and structures. So drones are also used to fly the structure, make a 3D reconstruction, and use the 3D model to inspect the structure itself.
I'm really interested in the 3D modeling aspect and what it can provide. What's the value of creating a 3D model for a client? What do they get out of it versus having a detailed map or an image?
That's very application specific. A nice example would be a stockpile measurement, right? So construction site and mining sites, they stock material, they make piles of material, and you need to know the volume, either for just for assessing the quantities, the excavation quantities, or simply the trucks that you need to use to bring the material from one site to another. So you could use a GPS, a handheld GPS, to mark a few points and maybe climb on the stockpile and measure the volume, or use a laser scanner, a terrestrial laser scanner, that anyway, it's very expensive and somehow the workflow is pretty complicated. It requires professionals. Today, you can fly a consumer-grade drone, create a 3D model, and with the 3D model, you can compute a volume. So this is one of the cases. In general, let's say when you have needs to measure 3D volumes, thinking about like landslide, waste disposals, and so on, there is a value for a 3D model.
How simple is it to use? If I had to go out and measure a construction pile of stuff, do I have to know where all the points that need to be measured, or is that done automatically?
The measurements are fairly manual. You need to fly your drone, capture the images. The software would process the images automatically and it would generate a 3D model. Then you can go inside the software in the 3D interface and measure features. So then it's as easy as measuring a line in Google Earth, for instance. What requires more understanding and more professional knowledge is when you need to assess exactly the accuracy of your survey, right? This is something that typically a surveyor understands to do. Then he needs, of course, to understand a bit the software, especially the desktop software. And then he can really like give an assessment of the quality of the measurement. So this is valid for land surveying, for forensic surveying, very important, and so on.
To create the model itself, the software creates the model. I don't have to tell the model all the different points within an area that might be at different elevations. Is that correct?
No, absolutely. Basically, the software we have, when you rent or purchase Pix4D Mapper, you have always a dual subscription. You have a cloud license and a desktop license. You can use indefinitely one or the other. The cloud one is a totally automatic process. So you send the images either through our mobile phone app or through a web uploader or through the desktop software itself. You send it online and you get the results out. So you get an email, the project is done, check out the results, and you find there the map, the 3D model, and the DSM, and so on. On the desktop, you still process in a fully automatic way, but you can stop. You have more control. You have a quality report. you can check point by point to understand the quality if you want to. Otherwise, you can just go straight to the results and find everything done.
We were talking about doing 3D images of construction debris or storage areas, but it can be used for buildings as well.
Of course. And we come here maybe to the topic of architecture. So I would say two things. Maybe the building inspection, so the as-built situation. There is a need for documenting something that is built already or something where the construction is ongoing. So less maybe about measurements, but more about really like storing and documenting a construction site as it evolves. From the architecture and maybe real estate, but let's say from the architecture side, our software has been used also in normal architecture or cultural heritage situations. You can basically create a 3D model and use the 3D model for, let's say, designing the renovation. Right, so you can design the structure, how to make an intervention over a building based on the 3D model, the as-built model that you created.
How detailed are the models when they're produced? Can the user use the models for a variety of applications?
Of course, so the models can be, I would say, as detailed as the user wants. For us, I mean, we are using digital cameras as a surveying instrument. So the unit of measure there is the pixel. The pixel, I mean, as everybody knows from the digital photography, it can represent 1 centimeter in the ground, a half centimeter, or 1 meter, depending on the distance from the target. When we do the 3D model, the same thing happens. So in photogrammetry, let's say you can reconstruct what you see, of course. So if you have an hidden area and you don't see it in the photos, you won't have it reconstructed. But what you see can be very detailed. So typically, I would say in surveying and mapping application, the average, we call it ground sampling distance. So the pixel resolution, it varies from 2 to 5, 10 centimeter per pixel. In architecture, so if you want to survey a building, you could go down easily to 1 centimeter per pixel.
That's pretty detailed. What does a user have to be able to operate the system? Obviously, if I have my drone, is it just the software that I'm adding to it, the Pix4D software?
So let's say, of course, you need a drone with a camera. We have a free mobile app called Pix4D Capture that you can use to connect to the drone and fly the drone photogrammetrically. So our capture app knows how to take pictures with which overlap. So it's a really like a fully automatic process. You just connect, you draw a polygon or a circle around your building, you command to take off, the drone flies, captures images, lands, then it transfers the images to the phone, and from the phone you can just send them online. So basically you can already obtain something with a mobile phone, a consumer drone. Our capture app is compatible with DJI and Parrot drones mainly, and you can start with Pix4D model, which is our real estate solution. It's simply a cloud and desktop subscription that starts from $49 per month.
And that gets you the basic program to get started in all the industries?
This is more tailored towards the real estate and the architecture. With this software, you get, call it a mesh model. So it's basically a triangle model, can be used for design, landscape design, and some situation, let's say 3D printing. And then you have Pix4D Mapper Pro, which is the surveying and mapping product. You have Pix4D BIM, that is the product for the building information modeling. So it's the high-end product to follow construction sites over time. And Pix4D Ag, which is dedicated to agriculture.
So really the users would choose a product or a service that suits their business.
Correct, yes.
Can you tell me which industry is most using your products?
Yes, I would say that our flagship, let's say, product is today is Pix4D Mapper Pro, which is the surveying and mapping product. So it gives you a lot of desktop functionalities where you can control the quality of the surveying and the data. It's still, of course, compatible with the capture app, depending on the drone that you use. And you also have a cloud counterpart which allows you also to do cloud processing and eventually sharing or embedding a map in your website.
What do you think is the typical user profile where the software has provided great value?
So this is a good question. So typically surveyors would evaluate the software on the technical or the quality of the results that they can get. So of course, easiness of use, integration with other software platforms and so on. But land surveyor, professional surveyors are liable for the quality of the results that they provide. So for them, I would say that the quality is really, and the accuracy is really important, as well as the capacity of certifying, let's say, the accuracy. So this would be possibly the main driver for professional surveyors. For others, like in real estate, architecture, the easiness may be predominant. And therefore, for instance, like the cloud solution is preferred, I would say, in these environments. So simple to use, and you get the 3D model out and you can share it immediately on your website to show your property in 3D. Agriculture is a different topic. Agriculture is very specialized, so you need to have certain outputs that allow you to, say, interpret the maps and the data and eventually, for instance, export a tractor map.
Does the company provide training or instruction for users?
Yes, absolutely. So we have a big support website where the users can find a very wide knowledge base with video tutorials and a lot of really valuable material. This is all free, of course. This year we have done a big worldwide campaign with over 20 workshops around the world, from Japan, Korea, United States, Mexico, Europe, where we had lots of users and prospect users that came to learn about drone mapping and photogrammetry.
And your newest industry that you expanded into is real estate. Can you talk about the benefits Pix4D can provide to the real estate industry?
Absolutely. We understand real estate as a very competitive industry. Agencies are all online, and as most of the drone sales today go to drone operators, right, that do mainly photography or aerial filming. We see online now that the agencies have very often, let's say, drone footage or drone photos. The next step is the experiencing the property in 3D. We're still talking about, let's say, the exterior, so the landscape around the property and the outside of a building. But basically, now in an easy way, so you can get Pix4D Capture app and a consumer drone. For instance, Parrot, our partner in France, they just launched internationally a full solution called Bebop Real Estate Edition, where you can get for $800 a drone and 1 year subscription to our software. So you can just fly over the property and create your 3D model. You can just get the code to embed it in your website, and you can show to the client the property online. So for, let's say, high-end properties, this basically helps the end user to shortlist. We've heard, let's say, that in the US, there are a lot of people that travel across states to buy a property, and it's important to give them the best way to see it and to make an educated decision of what they want to see and eventually buy, right? So this is the new way of displaying and experiencing the property in 3D. This is at least for realtors and so on. Then there is, I would extend it also to architecture. So as I was saying before, an architect can make landscape design in a very, very easy way. With just a drone flight, let's say in 20 minutes drone fly, you can process automatically the images. And let's say in half a day, you get a 3D model done of the landscape where you can put your design on, or you can plan your intervention for renovation.
For someone that wants to use it for, say, a large home, typically they would take their 3D imagery to promote the sale of the house. Would they be using that same footage, or do they have to take a second flight plan to capture the data for the model?
It depends. It depends. So it depends on which footage. Normally, you would do a flight like an orbital flight, so it could also be enough. But a photogrammetric flight around the property can take maybe 10 minutes, and it's fully automated, right? So it's not a big issue like to make a dedicated flight if you want. There is also another side effect that basically once you have done the 3D model in our software, of course, you can export it and publish it. Let's say you can also create 3D videos. So if you make a good 3D model and a good reconstruction, you can also generate the video that you like. So without needing to fly, maybe if you're like not an expert pilot, so you need, I don't know, to go through the trees and so on. So you can basically do it in a virtual way afterwards.
Does the software do the rendering of the 3D model as well, or is that something that has to be added in terms of the textures, the colors, whether you're going to have a shingled roof or a tiled roof, that kind of a look?
No, that can be done automatically now. That can be done in our software. So it's relatively easy. So once you have the 3D model, you just visualize your 3D mesh, which is normally the best looking model. And there is a function called fly through. You do your fly through and you can export it to YouTube. On YouTube, actually, there are lots of videos that our clients did like to showcase their aerial works.
You mentioned earlier that it's very helpful in the high-end real estate market. Is it because the extra time that's required to do it that it may not be as advantageous for someone that's just trying to sell a house down the street?
I would say two main things. One is like you need some space around the property to fly a drone, right? So if it's like inside the city or so on, or it's like just an apartment, it makes it relevant, a drone flight in general. Anytime you do a drone flight, it already means that it's probably not really like the basic property. And the drone model comes basically for free with your drone flight.
What have been some of the biggest challenges that the companies had to grow through over the last 5 years to become as successful today in working with the drone industry?
That's a good question. I would say that, first of all, the industry is moving really fast. In general, the drone industry is moving fast. Consumer drones are changing all the time, improving all the time. And this requires a lot of flexibility to move and to develop what makes sense. To give you an example, DJI was a couple of years ago released the SDK to fly the Phantom from 1 month to another. So we decided to put a lot of efforts like in making a mobile app. We're the first ones making a mobile app to fly a drone, a consumer drone photogrammetrically. And this was a huge success. So you need a lot of flexibility.
Has your software changed dramatically in the last 5 years in response to the technology changes?
Yes, there's been quite some platform changes, meaning that basically we started as a cloud company. Our first software was actually running on the servers of the university. We had like clients from Australia sending us the photos. The software was already automatically creating models and just sending them back the results. The first clients, like especially in the mining sectors, asked us to have desktop software. So we did the desktop software. It was very successful. Initially, it was only 2D. We had to change it quickly in 3D. And now the market, especially, let's say, the real estate or the non-geomatics markets, are asking again heavily for cloud processing. So we had to adapt again. This was very recent. In October last year, we released, we call it the hybrid licenses, or we call it hybrid innovation. We are now enabled again, like fully functional, our cloud, and we are offering a dual system where users can use desktop or cloud. We really don't matter where the users process the data. The idea is to offer them the benefits of both worlds where they make sense. So this was another, I would say, quite big challenge for us to adapt again to this new situation of the market. Otherwise, of course, like the growth by itself, it's a challenge, right? Like from 5 to over 80 people in 3 continents in 5-year time. It's been fun.
Yeah, I bet. Is there any variation in providing your product throughout the world? Or are there any rules or any regulations that differ, or is it pretty much consistent because it is just a software system?
No, I would say that there are differentiations in many senses. Maybe not too much in terms of flying a drone, because being a software company, we're not so exposed. But in general, yes, let's see, China, it's a different world. You have drones, a lot of drones actually used in very professional ways for surveying and mapping, but only few big clients. In Europe and US, you have a lot of granularity, a lot of small companies that are implementing drones. Africa is lagging, so pricing adaptation, channel adaptation, very different situations between Asia and US. And language barriers, like in Japan, we have Japanese version of the software, Chinese version of the software, and so on.
Quite a bit of diversity when you're dealing with all these different countries.
Yes.
As the drones become more sophisticated, and particularly with their sensors, how does that affect the usability of your software?
So I would make a distinction here. RGB cameras, so cameras that are used to take pictures, quality is increasing quickly, and the price is getting lower and lower. So higher resolution, which photogrammetrically will mean better results in terms of completion of the reconstruction. Sometimes photogrammetry is challenged by reflective surfaces, or actually like no texture surfaces, like a white wall. But eventually, when we will have really, really high resolution cameras, a very high resolution camera is able to see features even when they're almost not. With professional sensors, it's just starting. We see the first good thermal cameras from FLIR, for instance, on drones, and we're working on that to get already like thermal results. We have the case of agriculture with other professional sensors like the Parrot Sequoia, which is possibly the first drone designed multispectral, multi-sensor. And there, that opens up possibilities to use data in new applications, which is good in general. At the same time, it's bringing quality challenges, right? So how to get good measurements. So for us, quality is really important, and it should be for everybody that serves professionals. So our quest is always like how to get high quality radiometry or high quality geometry from the sensors.
It seems like drones are getting smaller, more mobile, and people are looking for ways to use them on the go. How do you think the changes in the drone industry will affect the demand for your company and your products?
So miniaturization is good. I see it as a very nice thing. The smaller the drones, the safer. People will perceive them possibly better, even in urban areas, which means more drone usage. Otherwise, I see what will come next is also like more specialization. So like drones that will be more specialized in doing some specific tasks, more, let's say, high value tasks. And we will need to follow and to be able to, as I was saying before, create good outputs, good geometry, good radiometry, good answers, let's say, also from these professional sensors and professional drones and sophisticated drones.
It might create a situation where that within your broad industry platforms that you may find that there's value in creating some specialized services.
Absolutely. So we really believe. So we moved from one product, Pix4D Mapper, that was serving everybody, into, let's say, vertical solutions, right? So to adapt through the mobile. If you think about the Pix4D model today, it's already an adaptation to the real estate usage, because you have a simple app to fly the drone, a consumer drone like the Bebop that is really like non-expensive, or a Phantom as well, and then a software that runs in the cloud. So it's already like adapted to some extent to the real estate. But of course, if the market will grow and they will have specific needs, depending on how easy and successful is the application by itself, we will certainly consider it. Yes.
With being with the company for 5 years, especially right from the beginning, what have been the most rewarding parts of this whole experience for you?
The growth itself, it's very rewarding. Things are going very well. We are a successful company, but I would say, I believe we have built a good reputation an honest reputation because of our honesty also, like in explaining what we do. We are partnering with very good companies. We are partnering with everybody, DJI, Parrot, SenseFly, all the professional drones, Aerion Labs, Teletech, but also big geospatial companies. So we have a partnership with ESRI, the leading GIS software and so on. So we're working also personally, like to see all this happening and the good brand and the warmth that we find in our users.
Does Pix4D have any associations or works with universities or the research area?
Of course. We have a lot of educational clients and partners. We have an educational offering. We also believe in photogrammetry, education, and drone mapping. You know, what I really like about the educational industry is that it's creating, to me, what I'm seeing is that we're hiring a lot of young people, and this is happening all over the world. Us, all the drone companies, our competitors, there's a lot of hiring going on, and teaching to students, it's really nice. We've seen like our first client professors that we know here in Europe, especially in Europe, I would say, they're creating now the first really like drone mapping, drone education programs, either about photogrammetry or about applications like conservation, ecology, and so on. And the students are very likely to find good jobs today.
Yeah, I agree. Did we cover everything? Is there a topic or a question that I should have asked?
I think we've covered a lot of things, and it's been really like a pleasure, and it's been. We want to thank you for the opportunity, really a lot.
Yeah, I appreciate it as well. For someone who just wants to try the software, do you offer a demonstration or a trial period?
Absolutely. So just go on Pix4D.com. You can sign up, get a free trial of the desktop software. You can have access to all the cloud portals, Mapper, Agbeam, and Model for Real Estate. The Capture app is free. It's really like a nice way to try out drone mapping and maybe find even like new applications.
And if I could, just one final question. What do you hope people walk away with after using your software?
It seems that we are democratizing mapping. There are more and more people that create maps. This was not the case before. Before, for having aerial maps, it was like satellite images or aircrafts with like expensive sensors. Now you can, with $1,000, you can get a good drone and start creating maps. We have seen already like good situations, like in case of emergency response in the earthquake of Nepal, of using drones and our software to make maps to help people. So maps are becoming more and more accessible. And I would say, yes, this is the thing, map democratization.
That's it for episode 81 of the Drone Radio Show. I hope you enjoyed hearing from Lorenzo Martelletti of Pix4D and learning about precision mapping and 3D models. I want to thank Lorenzo for sharing his insights and perspectives. If you want more information on Pix4D, or want to connect with Lorenzo, check out the website at pix4d.com, and that's pix4d.com. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a positive review on iTunes. It really does help. And as always, I hope you'll listen to more episodes of the Drone Radio Show podcast to hear how others are using drones for business, fun, and research. For the Drone Radio Show, I'm Randy Goers.
This has been the Drone Radio Show podcast. More information on today's show can be found on our website at www.droneradioshow.com. If you're using drone technology for business, fun, or research and would like to share your experience on the show, please visit our website and fill out a guest appearance application. And don't forget to follow us on your favorite social media channels.